we go. So, to answer your question, first off, no, I wouldn't say it's mixed in together. Like, I'd say it's a part of my YouTube channel as a whole.
Right.
But I'm just throwing like whatever kind of content I have out there, just throwing on my YouTube channel, whether it's gaming, whether it's like the other videos I've been working on, like my
Nice.
I don't know if you see my food review vlogs and all that stuff.
No, I haven't.
No, okay, well, yeah, me and Manikazi were doing that for a bit, so we have like a couple of videos out of that.
Sweet.
But this podcast literally is something I just decided to do like I don't know, I guess a month ago now. Just figured,
Right.
hey, you know what? I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy learning new things all the time. So I figured if I could reach out to like certain individuals and just kind of learn from them, learn from their field.
Yeah.
I figured that'd be something cool. I figured some people would be interested in like hearing the thoughts from those people. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, so I started that. And
How
also
have the responses been for like the first video that you did with Yahya?
it's been great, man. Yeah, so I mean it's a small YouTube channel now, so
Yeah.
like my highest amount of views probably like just like literally 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Yahya's podcast video hit 100 like within a couple days, so that was nice.
Nice.
I'm sure a lot of people who do training with Yahya and stuff tuned into that as well, so
Right.
definitely helped out and increase the audience.
Yep.
So that was neat. But
That's awesome.
yeah, first off, I'm just gonna give the proper introduction to this now.
Cool.
What's good, VillyP squad? It's your boy out here doing the second podcast or second episode of my podcast with my good old friend here, Austin Clark. He is a real estate agent in the GTA area, and I'll let you introduce yourself a bit, man.
Thanks so much. Yeah. So I'm Austin Clark. I'm a real estate agent, as Tim mentioned. Service anywhere from, I would say, Toronto to Barrie. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to hang out with you, man, and looking forward to chatting.
Sweet. So yeah, I brought you on today because I figured, as I said, I like hearing from people's careers, where they are in life, kind of just trying to learn more about what they do, and hopefully whoever's listening, if they're interested in doing the same things as my guests, then hopefully they can learn and pick up something to help them out in their careers or whatever they're trying to do, right?
Right.
So how long you been a real estate agent for, man?
So it's been a year and a half or so, coming up on 2 years this summer.
2 years this summer.
Yeah.
Nice.
So about a year in, I got hit with COVID and had to sort of adjust my business there. But yeah, it's been a year and a half and it's been awesome.
Yeah. So obviously you're safe to say you're a fairly new real estate agent.
Yep.
How has COVID affected you personally? Because let's say you're early in your career,
Yep.
only like 2 years in, as you were saying. Like 20 years down the line, you're probably gonna look back at the start of your career and be like, holy crap, I can't believe I made it out of that alive. Like, if all was such a crazy time going on, everybody's losing jobs, everybody freaking out. Like, yeah, how's COVID affected you so far?
You know what? It's been crazy. It's not only affected me, but it's affected like the whole industry. Like everybody has sort of had to shift at the way that they do business. So like even when it comes to showings, like everybody's showing up in masks. You have to you can't go into a home if you're sick. Hand sanitizer, gloves, like all of this stuff. It's completely changed the way that people can go see a house. It's much more difficult now. So really it's really only the serious buyers that are seeing a house now. So that's, I guess, the positive that's come out of it. But it's really made a lot of agents adapt to what's been going on.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So when you say there's a lot more serious buyers coming, you're saying like, I guess not a lot of people who are kind of like considering moving or buying the house. Like, you're pretty much people who are actually committed to like, yes, I want to do this. I want to potentially buy this house. I guess it kind of lowered or increased your kind of sales to showing ratio, I'm assuming, or what?
Yeah. So for the most part, like before COVID, there was open houses, which you can't do anymore because of COVID.
Is that like a law type of thing? Because obviously I know there's like a certain amount of people you can be together. It's like,
okay. Exactly. Because you would have a bunch of just different people coming in. Exactly. Yeah. So you can't really control that. So they've completely shut those down. So now the only way you can see a house is through showings. And really, like, sometimes you'd get showings before COVID of just neighbors that wanted to see the house. And it's not always people that are too serious. But now, in order to go see the house, for one, you have to always like sign off saying that you're not sick on these special forms.
Mhm.
So everybody that's going through the house, there's like sort of a process now. So you're not
Interesting.
really going to go through that if you're not too serious of a buyer. So
Yeah.
it's definitely weeded a lot of people out.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's definitely a good thing, guys. Weed out
Yeah.
the people who kind of just like wasting your time, I guess. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Must be tough for the sellers too, eh? To kind of trust like you bring in random people to come view the houses. Like I
Yeah.
know for a bunch of showings, typically the homeowner is gone, but in this case, are they like sticking around, or they probably take off for the most part?
So honestly, for my clients, my seller clients, all of them, I don't have them in the house during showings. It's just safer for them, safer for the buyers coming through as well.
Mhm.
Um, and in between showings, I disinfect the house, railings, doorknobs, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
so that when my clients come back in, it's just as safe as possible for them. And that's sort of just like the reality of the world right now.
yeah. So that's good. Definitely must be a bit more work for you, eh? And for
It is.
everyone else.
It
Yeah.
is, but I don't mind it. I don't mind
Hmm.
it. Yeah. Most important thing is safety, right? Like, got to make
100%.
sure everybody's okay.
Yeah, if we're comfortable. Yeah. So I mean, speaking about that, I mean, who knows how long this COVID situation is going to go on for, and how long it's going to take for people to kind of go back to what reality was, if everyone kind of shaking hands, like everyone nowadays, no one's shaking hands,
Yep.
no one's really giving props and stuff. So
Yep.
I feel like it's gonna take a while for people to get comfortable with all that stuff again. You think I think technology is gonna help out with that for real estate? Like I know
Yeah.
some places have like, kind of virtual reality showings, or kind of like, I don't know if I don't want to know if I want to call it 3D showings, but kind of like video camera recordings of the house and kind of walking through with the camera
Yeah.
or on a computer, right? How's
Yeah. So those sort of things have been around before COVID, but
mm,
since COVID hit, like, that's one of the most important things if you're listing a house. Like, you've got to make sure it looks amazing online with photos. I do video and like aerial shots of the houses as well, just so people, when they're looking at it online, can really get an idea of what the house looks like, right? And there's 3D showings that you can do as well. So all of those types of methods of marketing are like even more important now that, um, with COVID, like,
mm,
most people are going to look online. If they don't love how it looks online, they're not going to see the house because they
mm,
don't want to risk it with what's going on in the world right now.
exactly.
So it's key. And honestly, I've had some sales and some leases go through without the clients even seeing the
I
home.
was just about to ask that actually. That's hilarious. Really? Hey, that's surprising. Like not even stepping foot in
Yeah.
the house. Like I feel like that's so strange. Are
Yeah.
these mainly like real estate investors, you think? Are these like home like owners, or like people trying to live in that house that are kind of seeing without stepping
No,
foot into it?
it was actually people living in the house. So
That's crazy.
they saw it online, they saw the pictures, they saw the video. A couple of them, I would go through the home and do like a FaceTime, so I could show them the house and tell them about it, but they
Mhm.
physically were not in the home. So times have definitely changed. It was crazy.
That's interesting. Man, I can't even imagine, like even me as like individual, I can't imagine purchasing a house, let alone most likely like a close to $1 million house, especially in this area, without stepping foot in the house.
Yeah.
That's so like
Yeah.
that's mind-boggling, man.
And the
That's
thing I will say
mind-boggling.
is the people that did that, I think it's more generational too. Like, the
Mm,
the older generation wants to physically see it, they want to like touch it.
mhm.
But people that sort of grew up with technology, I'd say like our age and maybe a little bit younger, are open to the idea of just seeing it online and being like, you know what, that looks great, let's do it.
That's neat. That makes sense. Interesting. Would you say it's more like, I guess it's more of a younger generation that are kind of looking at houses even like right now, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Would you say
Yeah.
what's the current like demographic mainly you've been noticing? Is there like a trend of like a trend you're seeing of the age groups
You know what,
currently
there's a
purchasing
lot
or
of,
selling?
it's really all over the place as far as the people I work with.
Hmm.
But there's a lot more people in their 20s that I think, are a little sick of COVID. And if they're still living with their parents, they're around them all the time now. So they're like, I got to get out. I've got to find my
Exactly.
place. So I'm seeing a lot more of people, I'd say in their 20s, like wanting to make that jump.
Interesting. And would you say in terms of sellers, is it more like older people selling or?
Um, it is older people selling. So the two I see most are people that are living in Toronto, for example, or moved to Toronto before the pandemic. Now that they can work at home, they don't need to be in Toronto anymore. They can work remotely. So they're
Mhm.
selling their condo, they're selling their house in Toronto, and they're moving up here or they're moving further north
Yeah.
because they want a bigger space now that they don't have to go to the office and they can't use any of like the shops and stuff like that are downtown that make downtown so much fun,
Mhm.
right? So there's a lot of those people,
Interesting.
and then there's a lot of people in York Region who are seeing these amazing prices that are like, I'm working from home or I'm retiring. Why should I stay here? Like I should sell now while it's great, and move somewhere far away for a great price.
Mhm. Interesting. So you're learning less like the market's kind of like pretty crazy right now then, eh?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's nuts if you're selling. If you're
Yeah.
looking to buy right now,
It's tougher.
unless you're buying a condo, it's tough.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So sounds like obviously everybody from the city is trying to move up north, move to the suburbs. They don't have to be close to their corporate office anymore now that everyone's gonna be at home.
exactly.
Would you say this is like how big of a I don't know if a market change is what I'm trying to say, but how like what's the percentage of people just like of homes being sold and bought like now compared to let's say like 5, 10 years ago? Let's say 5 years ago, because 10 years ago I know there was like that little there's a little thing happening back then
Yeah.
too.
So I can give you a little history. So
Sweet.
uh, 2017, around that time period, was when we saw like the huge boom of the housing market. There was like a lot of the foreign investors coming to York Region and buying homes, and they were going for like over asking. It was crazy, right? So the government had to step in at that time and put some restrictions on buyers. So that's when the market sort of tanked, which was like 2018, 2019. And ever since then, ever since 2018, it's been slowly growing. But once COVID hit, it just shot up even more. So, like just recently, for Aurora, for example, we just passed what the 2017 highs were. So we're actually
Jesus.
just like at all-time highs right now. So it is really crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Just hearing that. I mean, I know you know, but for my viewers, I was interested in becoming a real estate agent in the past. Didn't end up finishing my courses, unfortunately, and kind of ended up doing some other things. So hearing that, oh man, it makes me regret my decision so much right now. So
You
much.
can still do it.
It's true. Uh, Obviously, we're all based on Ontario right now. The like to become a real estate agent here, it's like an online course, online schooling, pretty much. They
Yeah.
have their own college called the Ontario Real Estate uh, Association.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So short term OREA. So that was actually just transferred over to, I believe, George Brown College now to be a part
I
of
think so.
their
Or Humber or something like that. Yeah.
Humber. Yeah, Humber or George Brown. Might be Humber. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just transferred over to a legitimate college to become an actual course at their unique location. So at first, I was still in OREA when I was looking to become a real estate agent, and then kind of half-assed it, didn't finish. And then once I heard it was transferring over to the college, I was kind of like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. Like, why would I go to college when I can kind of do this thing online and kind of finish it as fast or as slow as I want?
Right.
But to any people who are watching this and who want to be real estate agents still in Ontario, that's actually still the same case. It's actually not an exact 2-year program like how it is for most diplomas or degrees in school. You can
Yeah.
still finish it as quickly as you want. It's still pretty much the exact same program as it was for the OREA, just transferred over under the college's name.
Yeah.
So
It's still online too, I think, right?
yeah, still fully online, especially nowadays of everything going on. So
Yeah,
honestly, it
exactly.
actually might not be a bad time to kind of go back and study for it. I
Yeah.
doubt you got to go back into the in-person proctored exams and stuff. Not saying anyone should cheat, but if it's online, it's online. You know what I'm saying, guys? But now I might even go back to it. Who knows?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
s- Speaking of that, how long do you think this kind of trend will go on for? Like, is there like any forecasts you've been seeing, or?
So it's hard for me to say. I think these crazy prices, I don't see them being able to stay like this for like a sustainable time period. I think probably by end of spring, we're going to see either like a small drop or just prices start to level out. Um, it's really because there's been so much demand of all these people moving from Toronto and so little inventory here that that's why the prices are going so crazy. But we're getting more inventory every week. So if that continues, I think it'll start to balance out. And then I think it'll be a little bit easier. Like right now, we're getting a little bit less competition on bidding wars and things like that. So it's a little bit easier for buyers, but
Interesting.
still not price wise yet.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking that's going to come within the next couple of months.
Hmm. So I think you said, if I caught that right there, you were saying something about inventory kind of being scarce
Yes.
for now.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean for now? You like with all the new developments happening around the area, you think just with the new houses being built, it's gonna kind of that's gonna help level everything out,
So
or?
two things. So new developments were sort of postponed during the thick of COVID. So a lot of those got delayed, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And then also when it comes to resale homes, like there was a lot of people who were not and are still not too comfortable selling their home during this time, like with the pandemic going on. So because of that, there wasn't too much available, and that's why there was such low inventory.
Interesting. Well, I guess that makes sense.
But historically, the spring, there's a lot more that comes to the market. I think people are getting a lot more comfortable now that the vaccine's coming through.
Yeah.
So I think that will sort of continue as
Hmm.
we get like closer to spring.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like it feels like at least everything's gonna be going back to normal soon, especially with all these vaccines starting to roll out and stuff.
Hopefully.
Like, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping by at least like June, everything's kind of almost back to normal. I highly doubt it will be, but I'm just saying June because it's my birthday then, so I wouldn't mind things going back to normal for then.
Yep. Hopefully we can get some patios going. It'd be great.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hmm. Yeah, you've been in real estate for about 2 years now, from what you were saying. Uh, what'd you do before this?
So before real estate, I went to Durham College for music business.
Hmm.
My passion is like one of my biggest passions is music.
Yeah,
So I went thinking that I wanted to work in the music industry at a record label. I got my dream job at Universal Music um, in sort of like a marketing type department, which is where I wanted to
interesting.
be. Yeah, so I was working for like some really big artists, and it was a lot of fun. But honestly, it was not what I sort of expected. Like, it didn't give me the lifestyle that I wanted, and I can sort of dive into that a little bit more
I
after.
was
But
gonna say, yeah, I'm down. Yeah, I'm down to hear that.
but yeah, so it was more of like a 9 to 5 desk job. And when I think of my passion for music, it's more of like the creative end.
Hmm.
So with this desk job, I was kind of just not loving it at all, because I like to do things that are different. I like to be creative. I like to, have one-on-one interaction with different people, and that career just wasn't giving me that. So that's sort of why I like reevaluated what I was doing at the time, left the job, and then just went for real estate because it ticked all of the boxes of like what I wanted.
That's crazy. So not only did you go to school for your passion that you love, you got the dream job that you wanted,
Yeah,
and you still didn't like it.
yeah,
Wow, that's interesting.
yeah,
That's just like, I guess that's kind of like just reality hitting you, like kind of what you expect won't won't be,
yeah.
I
And
should
I
say,
feel like that happens to a lot of like people our age.
for
Like a lot
sure.
of people went to school
Hmm.
for something, and then they realize, hey, I don't want to do this. Because
Hmm.
it's hard to know when you're out of high school what you want to do.
Yeah, when you're literally like, I know 18, you're considered an adult, but I mean, me coming out of high school, I don't know about you, but I felt I was super immature. I still feel like I'm super immature and don't know what I'm doing with my life. So it's kind of definitely harder to expect a fresh high school graduate to know what they want to do for the next, like, what, 50 years of their life, of their
Yeah,
lives.
exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So people, I mean, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams, but at the end of the day, it might not be what you always wanted still. So heads up for that.
Yeah,
I think that's a real like reality check there for some people who are kind of trying to figure out what they want to do in life.
yeah. And I think the important thing too is like music is still my biggest passion.
Mhm.
Um, but you can have your biggest passion on top of a career. Like your passion doesn't necessarily need to be your career. And that's what I sort of discovered. It's like I can still play music, I can still do all of that stuff on the side. And then it feels more like a hobby and more like a passion rather
Mhm.
than a job. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. And I think that's kind of like what I'm trying to do and figure out right now with like my YouTube, my gaming stuff I got going on. Like obviously big passion for gaming. I've been a gamer my whole life. So it's like if making a job out of gaming could happen, then by all means, I think I'd be happy. But who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe that does happen to me, and then I end up hating it, end up hating gaming. I think that's something that I definitely that would be a horrible feeling. I think
right.
to kind of lose out on the love of gaming. So I
Yeah.
think
And
that's
that's something that you don't want, right? Like if there's
mhm.
something you love, you want to keep it a passion. You don't want it to become something that you hate.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What sort of stuff are you gaming lately?
Oh man, I have been gaming everything. I have a Twitch out right now, twitch.tv/VillyP. I've been gaming with a couple of friends, playing like Call of Duty, Battlefield. I'll play like random role playing games. I don't know if you know what those are, but like,
Nice.
yeah, just random multiplayer games. Literally everything,
Nice. That's
everything.
awesome.
Yeah, nothing specific right now. But it's funny because doing this streaming thing has actually made me interact with people I haven't interacted for years or with for years. For example, I'm sure you know Justin Huang.
Yep.
Yeah. Haven't talked to that guy in literally like at least a year or so. Like we've been out of contact for a while, but once I started streaming, he actually hopped on and stream and in chat. I was like talking with me, and I'm like, no way, this is Justin. And then we've played a few games together now, so that was pretty neat. You know, just
That's
starting
awesome.
up something random, having people from the past hit you up, like that's pretty neat. So yeah,
Yeah. And that's the best too, like especially with COVID, right? Like just random people feeling the need to sort of like want to reach out to people.
exactly.
And it feels great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's weird how like we're so disconnected from everyone physically, but because of that disconnection, it's actually making more people reach out, whether it's through online or just whatever, just help them get through their time and of being socially isolated and stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it sounds like you're doing a really good job for you right now in real estate. Like, sounds like you're getting a lot of clients. Sounds like you're getting pretty good business, I should say. What prior experiences have helped you with real estate, with
Yeah.
interacting with people, let alone getting the sale done?
Yeah. So I love sales. I love interacting with people. When I was working at my Universal Music job, um, it was so like robotic, the job, that in the background I'd have my headphones in and I'd be learning tactics of how to sell things. So I
Like
was
podcasts and stuff, or watching the YouTube videos on that, or
YouTube videos of like these really high end salespeople and like the
mhm.
tactics that they use and sort of the mentalities and things that they think about. Um, so while I was doing this other job, I was like multitasking, I guess,
Yeah,
and that sort of sales training just got me like really excited to do real estate. On top of that, at the time I was a salesperson for Cosmo Music, so I was selling like guitars and amps and stuff like that there. So all of these things I was learning, I was like testing them out on the customers at this music store,
that's
and
sweet.
it was like super rewarding.
Yeah.
I felt great because I was helping people, but at
Mhm.
the same time, I felt like I was like really, really good at the communication and the sales part of the job. So
Mhm.
that kind of pushed me to go to real estate um,
Mhm.
because of the potential for the income and sort of holding yourself accountable for making stuff
Everything.
happen,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what like I mean, when I did sales, well, I feel like my current job is revolved around sales too, but I don't really consider it like true sales. Like I think my first sales experience was doing door-to-door sales for a bit. I
Right.
think we may have talked about that at one point.
What were you selling?
I was just selling some like Rogers internet and
Okay.
cable to like random customers and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's crazy, man, because they send you out there. Like I think I was working from at least 10 a.m. till 8 p.m.
Right.
So it was like 10-hour days. And we'd be in the office practicing up skills, techniques, and all that stuff, and then hitting the field at like 1 p.m. and knocking doors for like 7 hours. And in
Nice.
those 7 hours, you'd at least like I'd interact with almost 60 to 100 people, depending how far you have to walk and what kind of neighborhood you're in.
Yep.
But out of those like 100 people, you will be, I don't want to say lucky, but like you'd be lucky to maybe hit one sale out of those 100 people.
Yeah.
Whereas the 99 other people are slamming the door in your face, telling you to get the hell off their property and stuff. They don't want to hear it.
Yep.
So just getting that one sale and getting that satisfaction of getting that sale, it gives you such a rush, like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've felt anything else like it. Like you leave that house feeling like, yes, I just did it. I got the sale. I remember I was Snapchatting my friends and stuff like, yes, guys, I closed the deal. Like, let's go. We're making
Yeah.
money. It just felt so good,
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, doing the sales job
So
at
did
Cosmo
you
and stuff.
like doing that? Did you like the door knocking?
I hated it as much as I loved it. Like
Right.
it was a teeter
It's a
totter,
love hate.
because exactly, you hate it when you're not doing good, but then once you get that one sale or you're doing great, you're crushing it, you're on a high, you're on ecstasy.
Yep.
So I mean, talking about that feeling of getting like those sales, I mean, how was it getting your first real estate sale done?
It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
But honestly, I'm weird. Like as soon as I get a sale, I celebrate, and then I'm like, okay, like
on to the next,
let's get another.
on to the next. I love it.
Yeah.
That is the mentality of a true salesman right there. You celebrate for a bit, but the job's not done. You're not at the
Yeah.
finish line yet. It's
Yeah.
just a small part of the whole entire marathon. That's just one checkpoint, on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel with like every sale that I do. It's
Mhm.
like amazing. Like I'm super happy and I'll celebrate it that day. And the next day I gotta keep grinding. I gotta make it happen again.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Like, was your first for your first sale? I mean, like, how was that process? Like, did you like going up to it? Did you kind of know that was going to happen? Did you know that was going to be your sale? Like, as a conversation or process went on, where you're like, okay, this is happening. This is it. Like,
So I'm trying to remember. So uh,
must have been so many sales ago, eh?
so my first sale was actually for a family member of mine,
Mm,
which was like right at the beginning of my career.
nice.
So that one was great. And then after that, my next one was from, I think my next one was from like a referral from a friend, which was really, really great because
Mhm.
that's like the majority of my business
I was
is
gonna say, you got
referrals.
to hit your referrals. You got to hit your circle. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting that and having somebody who like remembered me, who knew I was an agent and referred their friend to me was really nice. Like that's I'm super appreciative whenever people do that. So once I got to close that, like it was amazing. It was a great feeling.
That's great. That's sweet. Uh, Going back to how you were talking about how you're at your desk job, listening to sales techniques and stuff. Who were you listening to?
Um,
Do you have a specific guy you like, or
yeah, so it was two people mainly. So the first one was actually uh, at the time that he was selling, he was a terrible person. But Jordan Belford from The Wolf of Wall Street.
as soon as you said terrible person, I was like, okay, I know where we're going with this.
So
Yeah,
he was not a good guy for sure, but his actual sales like techniques are
yeah.
amazing. So just like hearing him talk and the way that he inflects on is that the word? I don't know, on
Mhm.
different words and picks up on responses from others.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. And
Mhm.
then there was another real estate agent from the US. Um, Brian Casella was his name. Look up his stuff.
I think I've heard of that guy.
I
Costello
think he
last name?
does Casella. Yeah. I think he still does videos on YouTube, but he was amazing as well. Same
Mhm.
type of thing, just like scripting, role playing, like, and how to how to go about conversations with people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's weird. It's crazy because, people who haven't done legitimate sales, they just kind of see salespeople as scummy, you know, just
Yep.
getting them to buy something with their own money, maybe when they don't really need it, or whatever. But there's a certain psychological factor when it comes to proper sales technique. It's not
Yep.
just you convincing the pros and cons of buying it whatsoever. It's kind of like, as you said, with Jordan Belfort, he's picking up on certain responses, and certain words have kind of trigger certain bigger meanings than their other synonyms.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
literally, yeah. So Jordan
Exactly.
Belfort, did you listen to, I think it was a straight line theory? I
Um,
think that's one of
it
his big things.
could have been.
Yeah, okay.
It was a while ago, but yeah.
Mhm.
The biggest thing that I learned is like asking questions from people, because people will give you answers. Um, like they'll tell you everything if you just ask the right questions. So it's
Mhm.
actually better to be quiet, I've found, than to just tell them why they need to do something.
Mhm. Exactly. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like when you are being quiet, it'll just cause the person to elaborate more as
Exactly.
well. So even like get
Exactly.
answers to questions they didn't even know you're going to ask. So
Yeah.
that's neat. That's
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff.
Mhm. When you started out your career, what troubled you? Like, what were your anxieties or insecurities about starting a job? Like, what kind of things should a new real estate agent or a new person looking to become a real estate agent kind of might have feelings of, and should kind of just not worry about?
And not worry about. I would say the biggest thing that I was worried about right off the bat is lead generation. So what I did, there's a couple different ways that you can go about it. Like you can cold call people, you can door knock, you can talk to your friends and family, talk to people in the grocery store, like wherever it is. You just want to get talking with as many people as possible. So I chose the route of door knocking. So every single day, 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock, I was door knocking. No matter if it was like -20 blizzard, if it was pouring rain, I was out there because I was
Oh
like
yeah,
determined to make it happen.
I love hearing that. That's
But
sick.
but the first day of doing it, I was so nervous. Like the first door, I was so nervous. I got up there, like completely screwed it up. But I feel like messing up and having those experiences just pushes you to be better for the next one.
Yeah.
And that's how I sort of take it. Like I get doors slammed in my face, all of that stuff, but you kind of just got to be like, yeah, no problem, on to the next.
Yeah. You just gotta, I know it's tough, especially when it feels like they're attacking you personally. I know for most door people, that's how you feel. But
Yeah,
in truth, that's not the case. They're not attacking you personally. It's just the fact that you're a stranger at their door. So you just gotta brush it off, throw it off your shoulders, move on to the next.
exactly. So I think the best thing, honestly, is to just go for it. Like if you take the first step of going for it, even if you screw up, at least you went for it, and then you can just keep getting better from there.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes and everything like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So also you're saying you still door knock and everything. Is that like pretty significant portion of like your leads that you've accumulated for yourself?
So I door knocked from the beginning of my career to as soon as COVID hit. Once COVID hit, I couldn't door knock anymore. I
Yeah.
wasn't like allowed to, and it was probably not the best time to
Yeah.
do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be honest with you, I haven't for the past, I don't know, like year now.
Hmm.
I just went out the other day, which felt amazing.
Yeah.
Just door knocking the street of a house that I sold, but I don't go out like religiously like I used to, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Um, sorry, what was your question again?
I honestly do not remember.
It's all good.
I
It's
actually
all
don't
good.
even remember, man.
But yeah, yeah. So
What
I love it. I was going out every day, but unfortunately, I haven't been lately. Um,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah, different times and everything. So I guess from hitting your inner circles, trying to get referrals that way, lead generating through door knocking and cold calling. Is there any other way like a new upcoming real estate agent could get some new leads for themselves?
I think the most important thing to do is to find like one or two ways to get leads and to stick to those and like
Hmm.
do it religiously. Like for me, my two methods are door knocking and referrals. So I'm
Nice.
always reaching out to friends, I'm always reaching out to family, and I was always door knocking. So because to stuck to it, like there's leads of people that I door knocked like 2 years ago who are just calling me now being like, I'm ready. So it's like a really
Wow.
long process.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, that's
and
neat.
and I think you just got to stick to it. Like that's what I was told at the beginning is like door knock every single day and eventually it will pay off. And I didn't see like any results for like the first year
Hmm.
of my career from door knocking. At least I got some referrals first year, but um, all of my door knocking stuff is just like starting to pay off within the past, I'd say like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah,
So
that's
majority of
neat.
my
So,
business now is referrals, to be honest
mm,
with you.
yeah, yeah. So at the end of the day, just don't give up. Just keep doing what you're doing, and then eventually they'll pay off. Whether it's months down the line, a year or two down the line, just keep going for it, and they'll pan out.
Yep. And that's something I'm not too good at is it's like having patience with myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm working so hard, like come on, like let's have something work out. And it just
Hmm.
you gotta have patience. That
Yeah.
was like the biggest thing I learned because it takes a while and you just gotta stick at it.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think I can feel that in terms of like when I was door knocking. Like obviously with sales, it's tough. It's tough with sales, kind of getting paid on what you do essentially. And no
Yep.
matter how hard you work, sometimes you don't get the rewards instantly. So you get demotivated. You just don't want to do it anymore. You look at other things. So I feel like with sales in general, you just got to have that inner motivation, that inner drive to just keep on pushing,
Yep.
no matter what. Obviously, you're still new to the business and everything, but how does Ontario real estate compare to other provinces in Canada? Like I know like each license is different, it's per province,
Yep.
from if I'm right.
Yeah.
So do you know anything different with how it is in other provinces?
So to be honest with you, I don't know too much about other provinces.
Mhm.
I can tell you different areas that are really popular right now. Like, for example, BC, Vancouver area is, I think, very similar to us right now, where they're just seeing like crazy growth.
Mhm.
And same with the East Coast, actually. So like Halifax is getting a ton of people who are realizing they can buy a house there for like 300,000. And houses here, like good luck finding many for under like 800,000.
Yeah.
So these different markets are seeing a bunch of booms. I don't know too much about the other provinces, but
Mhm.
that's what I've been seeing.
Interesting. Speaking of those prices, I mean, I went to University of Windsor, so I know that area in general is much cheaper compared to the GTA Golden Horseshoe around here.
Yep.
What is like the next what's one of the next big hotspots in Ontario? It looks like I know a couple of my buddies are moving down to like Kitchener, Waterloo area,
Yep.
London. Like, what are other trends looking like in the province?
There's a huge number of people in their 20s and 30s moving to Ottawa. That's like a really, really big booming city right now.
Hmm.
As far as like towns a little bit closer to us, places like Georgina and Innisfil, um, Barrie, those sort of areas are really starting to get a lot of
Yeah.
development, a lot of new construction there, and a lot of help from the town as well as far as like getting transportation put there and new
Hmm.
businesses and that sort of thing. So a lot of those areas are getting built up, and I think in the next 5 years or so, those are going to be really big areas. So if you're investing now, those are the areas I'd look in.
Interesting. Uh, Speaking of investing, do you work with any real estate investors?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep, quite a few.
Interesting. I know like real estate investments have they've been on the uprise for sure because I feel like a lot of people nowadays are kind of trying to find those ways of doing passive incomes, whether it's obviously purchasing homes, renting them out. A lot of student homes are from real estate investors, Airbnbs, all real estate investors just making additional income on homes they own.
Yep.
How's the like? I know it sounds like a lot of people in Toronto are moving out up north. So I hear like pricings for rent is going down in Toronto. Is that true too? Like, what's that looking like?
It was. So I would say
It
like the
was.
the bottom was December of last year, maybe January. But since then, we started to see prices go up. But rent prices definitely did drop quite a bit. So people that were able to lock it in at that time, like absolutely scored. Like I had some tenants that I was helping around that time period. I got them a lease in Toronto for like 500 less per month than what it was like 6 months earlier. So it
Sweet.
was a great time. I think you can still find some great prices right now, but they are on the up.
Really? So we're back on up. Would you say they're kind of back to where they were, or still like generally less than what they were like a year ago?
I would say that they're still less, but they're getting close to what they were.
So if you're looking to kind of to rent out, because I know a lot of people our age are look they can't afford homes for the most part. So a lot of people are looking to kind of rent in the city. What would you say the time frame is from today? Like what's the best time frame? Or kind of the last month or so they have to find like a decent price?
Right. I would say, again, it's hard for me to say. I think once COVID sort of passes, once the vaccines come out, once the economy starts to open up, I think that's when prices will start to go back to a stable point and maybe what
Mm.
they used to be. So I would say until that time. So my guess is that the vaccines will come out in spring, and I think from then on is when prices will start to change a little bit.
So if people are trying to do that, should probably act sooner rather than later at this point.
Definitely. Yeah.
How about I don't know if I'm digging too much. Let me know if I am or not. But like, what are like condo prices like looking like compared to what they were a year ago?
Yep.
Like, I
So
know generally the houses here, pretty much, I want to say $1 million is kind of what you're looking at, give or
right.
take.
Yep.
So, yeah. What about
Yeah. So
condos?
condo prices, again, December, January, those that time was the best time to buy. Condo prices still are low right now. So anybody that is buying a condo, um, I would say to buy within the next 3 months for sure, because I think I do see them rising. So I would act pretty quickly. Yeah. I,
Nice.
I mean, you can find condos in Toronto if you're looking for actual prices. Like core Toronto, one bedroom condos are going to start around 450, somewhere around there, maybe 400, something like that,
For a 1 bedroom condo.
or one bedroom.
That's absolutely bonkers, man.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we were children, like houses in our area now we're going for around that price, like full on 2-story homes and everything from like 4 to 600,000 on like the high end.
Yeah.
And now these same houses have almost doubled if I'm wrong. Like,
Yep.
correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, for sure.
that's crazy.
So
I'm
generally prices will double every 14 to 15 years, just to give like
hmm,
people an idea of what happens in the market. And that's just based on like statistics. So if you're going to buy a home and hold it for that time frame, you can expect to double your money. That's why investing in real estate is like such a great option.
wow, double in that time frame. That's crazy. Huh. Oh, I had a question in my head and now I totally just forgot it regarding that.
Sorry.
Oof. Oh, all right, whatever. I'm sure it'll come
All good.
back. Yeah.
All good.
Hmm. So what are some I'm looking at my kind of list of questions that I've wrote down here. What's some interesting like client stories or weird situations you've been in as a real estate agent? Uh, if you can't expose anything like specifics, feel free not to. If you're able to give some vague things like situational things, then I think people would love to hear it, kind of see what they expect to, so they can expect the unexpected.
Any weird situations? Um, I don't know if I can think of any off the top of my head. I mean, working with buyers is always fun. It can be, it's extremely rewarding when you find a family, the right home.
Hmm.
Um, and seeing like how excited they are to have this new home, to build all these memories. But working with buyers is funny because they go in with usually an idea of what they want, and that changes like throughout the entire process. So it's always just adapting to what they really find out what's important to them. So
Interesting.
I don't really
Interesting.
have any specific stories that I can say, but I'll report back on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. If you get of any stories or anything comes up, feel free to talk about it in the future.
Definitely.
So it sounds like, and again, this going back to sales, I suppose, but I feel like a lot of these jobs where it comes to sales, it's more you helping your client or helping a customer. Like it sounds like from what your story just told, you really enjoy actually helping people find that dream home that they're going to be living in for almost maybe the rest of their lives, if not next majority of their lives. Like how does that affect you? Like how does that
Yeah.
make you feel doing that?
Well, that's like one of the main reasons why I got into the business. It's because I just wanted to help families. I wanted to help people our age.
Mhm.
Um, that's like something that's super rewarding to me is getting that sort of like um, gratification. They don't even need to say it, but just knowing that I've helped that person or that family with such like a big transaction is why I love it so much.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like from when I did door to door, like as much as I loved getting the sale and getting the money from it, whatever, call me a scumbag, it is what it is. Helping that person is just like that is also what drives you to kind of want to make the sale even more. Like at least when
exactly.
I was selling stuff, like I was kind of my goal was yes to sell the services, but also by selling those services for almost 99% of those sales, it was me helping them lower their monthly costs, lower their uh, expenses and everything. And even doing that, because sometimes people are paying outrageous prices, like just helping them in that small little way in their life, it was such like a great feeling
Yeah,
walking out and just being like, you know what, I not only made that sale, but I also made that person's day or life just a bit better,
exactly.
just for me being there, just from a random guy knocking on the door where they didn't expect it at all and helping them out. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
mhm,
And that's the thing, right? Like I feel like there's a lot of clients that I work with who or potential clients that I have meetings with, and I just am honest with them. Like there's so many agents I feel like in the business that unfortunately give the real estate industry like a bad rap. Um, but I just want to be honest with these people so that they have somebody to trust, you know?
mhm,
Like for example, if I'm going to tell somebody what their home is worth in the market. If it's worth $1 million, I'm going to tell them it's worth $1 million, even though there's an agent who's going to say, yeah, I can sell it for like 1.5. When in reality, they're not being honest with them and they're not looking after the best interest. So,
interesting.
so I'm like the biggest thing for me is just building a relationship with all of these people so that it's long lasting and so that I'm somebody that they can trust, you know?
Mhm. Interesting. I like that, giving them straight up facts, not trying to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it, just doing like giving them the honest truth
Yeah.
that at the end of the day you are there to help them, and this is a reality of their situation, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anything you kind of want to mention in general about like real estate that I haven't touched up upon?
Um, Not really, to be honest. I mean, if you know if you know anyone that's looking to sell, tell them get in
Yeah.
touch. Tell them now is the time. I think honestly, like next couple months, it's going to be too late. So I think if you're thinking about it, the next 3 months is great. If you're a buyer, wait a couple months and let's start planning
Mhm.
now so that we can get you into the market when it's the right time.
I like that. I like that. No, any advice for the new guys coming into the real estate business?
Coming into the business, I would say honestly, just ask yourself the type of person that you are. Ask yourself why you want to get into the business. It's something that's it tests like your mental strength a lot, especially in the first year. Like you have to be okay hearing no like every day. You have to be okay maybe not getting a single sale for the first year. And that's just the reality of it. And you gotta have like a lot of perseverance and a lot of patience.
Mhm.
Um, the potential for like income is great, and it's definitely there, and it all just depends on how hard you work, and it's all up to you. So if you're like a self-starter, you're motivated to do it every single day, then you're going to do amazing at the job. So I
Mhm.
would just ask yourself that first, just to make sure like that you're that you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to go for it no matter how long it takes.
Nice, nice. Listen to that, folks. Is it better to join like a firm, like a company, or to like go solo?
Yeah. So I think that depends on you. So like for example, if you are the self-starter, if you hold yourself accountable, I would go as a solo agent. That's what I am. But if you need
Really,
somebody,
not with a brokerage or anything, eh?
I'm with a brokerage, but I'm not with a team.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So if if you want somebody to hold you accountable, if you want somebody who can maybe help you get some more leads, and is there to support you, if you have any questions, maybe the team's the best way to go. There's different splits involved. So when you're with a team, you have to give a certain percentage to your team leader. When you're solo, you get to keep 100%, but it depends what's the best option for you. I think either option is great. It just depends.
I see, I see. And again, don't answer this, you don't want to, but are you looking to like in the future, like start your own brokerage or kind of start your own team or
Yeah, yeah, that's the
yeah, for
goal.
sure.
So
That's
I
the goal.
think I
Nice.
think in about 5 years or so, my goal is to start my own team.
In
I don't
five
know if I
years,
want
I
to have
like
my
it.
own. I don't think I want to have my own brokerage, but I definitely want to have my own team because
Mhm.
I like helping others,
Yeah.
obviously. So I want to bring, like-minded agents onto my team and people that I can help and, show the methods that I've used
Mhm.
and help them get success as well.
Mhm. Now, this is probably going to be like a dumb question, I guess. But what's the difference between like a brokerage and like a team? Like, because it
So
sounds like you're saying it as like different things. Where I kind of assume they're kind of like the
yeah, so
same.
the brokerage is like the company that houses all the agents. So for example, like a Remax.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, there's a Remax, and then there's a bunch of different teams under the Remax umbrella.
Hmm.
There's also solo agents under the Remax umbrella. So everybody has to be signed with a brokerage. And then from there, you can decide if you want to be part of a team or if you want to be a solo agent.
I see. So everyone has to be under a brokerage and then kind of
Yes,
branch
unless
off from
unless you
there.
start your own brokerage, which is another story. But
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I forget what we were talking about earlier, where you said you want to come back to it. It was way earlier into the podcast. I don't know what
yeah,
we were talking about, but
yeah. So
I feel like we went over a bunch of stuff.
yeah, so we are talking about my previous job and like why I got into real estate.
Hmm.
The biggest, honestly, one of the biggest factors of why I didn't want to be in that like corporate world anymore was because the job I was at allowed me 2 weeks vacation. To me, like at the time, I wanted to go to Peru with Hans,
Yeah.
and that was a 2 week trip,
Yeah.
like minimum. So I was like, okay, so if I go on this trip, I get no vacation for the rest of the year, and that just like boggled my mind that I was sort of like owned
Restricted to your own
owned by
time
this
zone.
company. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's the way that a lot of people are, or a lot of companies are, and that's the way that a lot of people are okay like living their life. But for me, work-life balance is like number one.
I
So
agree
I
with that.
wanted, yeah, so I wanted a job where if I want to travel for a month, I can do that, and I don't have to get approval from anyone. So that was a major reason why I left Universal, is so I could go on this Peru trip, and so I could go anywhere else in the world that I want to anytime I want to.
Hmm. Nice. So being a real estate agent, I mean, like no one really gives you set hours, set schedules. I'm sure you got some deadlines to meet here and there, especially with clients and whatnot. But like, how much free time do you technically have? Like, how's that work?
Yep. So you get to make your own schedule. So you can, like, for example, another thing, like you snowboard, I
Yeah.
snowboard. If there's a day where we're getting a ton of pow, like I am taking the day off and I'm gonna go snowboard.
Oh man, don't tell
So
me that. Wow. I'm so jealous right now. Oh my God.
so like that's the kind of life that I want to live,
Yeah.
where I'm sort of in control and I can choose when I want to work. Like obviously, when it comes to my clients, I'm putting them first. If they need something, if I have meetings, I'm gonna go to those and make sure that that happens and
Mhm.
take care of them. But if I have the free time and if something comes up, then I can work around it.
Mhm. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that would be like a perk to being a real estate agent,
Yeah,
kind of doing things on your own schedule and doing whatever you want. Uh, how was the POW that day?
it's great,
Yeah.
so good.
Sweet. So, all right, guys, that is it for the second episode of the official VillyP podcast with my good friend here, Austin Clark. Please, if you guys are in the GTA area, feel free to reach out to him. I'll be putting all his info and links down below and tagging his social medias and whatnot so you can contact him. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the podcast and tune into the next one. Peace out.
Thanks, man.